Here we go. I'm turning on the audio. All right, and it's up and running. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Council Matters, which is the little show where I, the Primogen, talk with people in the community about all kinds of things vampire related. And today I have a very special guest. I have Thomas Filippi, right? That's how you say your name? From Flyos Games, who are currently working on the Vampire the Masquerade Chapters board game, the very cool looking, very successfully kickstarted board game with miniatures taking place in Montreal and in Canada. It's a very interesting game. I did a little bit of a playthrough of the demo a while back, and I'm super excited to hear more about it, and I hope everyone watching is as well. Welcome to the show, Thomas. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much. Amazing. We just finished the first playtesting of the multiplayer system of the combat, not even 20 minutes ago. And right now I'm talking to you. So yeah, life's pretty sweet right now.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome to hear. I was so excited seeing the trailer for your game, and I'm really glad to hear it's moving along well, because it blew my mind how much people just poured their love and money, of course, into this Kickstarter. And Montreal is such an interesting setting too. It has a lot of history, dark history in the vampire setting, and I'm very excited to hear what's happened since is it 20 years old, the old book? Montreal
it was 1999. It was 1999, one of the first of Black Dog. It was dark and it was gloomy. It was really, really mature. So we're very excited to jump on that story and make it all our own.
Yeah, that's really cool. But I can imagine, or actually I've read a little bit, that you and the team working on this game, you're all fairly experienced with the setting itself. You've played it before, Vampire, a lot, right?
Of course. Yeah. Well, not a lot. A lot. It's been like maybe 15, 17 years we've been playing. Actually, when Gary and I, my partner and associate that is a co-founder with me of Flyos Games, when we signed a contract with Paradox White Wolf, we actually made our clan as a studio. So
wow,
yeah, we are a big fan. We've been playing for amazing. I don't know, thousands of hours.
Yeah.
And
I also have a clan. So there you go. So there's just something about Vampire that brings up the two lovers. That's really cool. So I'm assuming then, by judging by your tattoo, that Malkavian is your favorite clan.
Yes, and also I've made my own. Gary did the same. Basically, I put the energy symbol of inside that breaks the mirror. So because I'm crazy and dangerous. So
I love it. That's really cool.
And Gary has the Malkavian, just the same thing, but inside it's a rose because it's half the red.
Of course, I see. Yeah, mixing the bloodlines a little bit there.
Exactly.
It's really cool. So you said you were playing back. This would be like revised edition back in
V3.
V3. Yeah. So there's been a huge break. There was this V20 period, and now it's back in V5, and the story has progressed a lot. So have you? I can imagine that sitting down and first of all, did you guys want to do Montreal, or was that offered to you as a setting to do?
No, we are from Montreal. We live in Montreal. We've been living in Montreal for the last 12, 15 years. So it's been a long time we're here, and we kept, playing in Montreal. So we've incorporated pretty much everything from the Metaplot and the storyline that we propose to Paradox when we explain them, okay, this is what happens, and this is what we had envisioned, and this is what brings in everything. Usually they take at least 1 month, 1 week, or a lot of time to prove things. And when we finished the story of what we wanted to do with Vampire the Masquerade Chapters, it took 5 seconds, and then it was approved. So
wow, that's amazing.
We know the seeds by heart. We know everything by heart. I'm such a lore geek. Even if we're playing V5, I've been reading the V3 and the V5 book for every month at least once.
Yeah.
So I was the kind of guy at the table, because I'm the player and Gary is usually the storyteller. When you're like, is it level 3 or 4, the Invocation of Presence? No, it's like number 237, and it's this and that, and you're like, yeah, I pretty much know it by heart. So
yeah. You're the useful. You're the lexicon of the group,
pretty much.
Yeah.
Right.
That's really cool. I also really enjoy the lore of vampires. Personally, my favorite aspect of the game. So, I just from reading your description during the Kickstarter of the setting, and of course Matthew Dawkins' introduction to the city, I just get such a good feeling about it. It really feels like everyone involved in this project is really passionate about making it really stick to the setting. It's just it's not just a game with a code of vampire on it. It's a vampire game.
That's how we started to making it, basically. And since then, we've been so lucky to have such a loving and implicated community, and even the people in the team. We receive so much ask, and people that are very good in translation, very good in writing, very good in game design, very good here and there, and they reach out not because they want to work on a project, but because they want to work with Vampire the Masquerade. There's so much fans, so hardcores that just want it. So we are very lucky to be working with people that, they're just pouring themselves into it, and that awesome. Shows.
Yeah, I mean, everything from the model to the artwork to the environment, the rules. We're gonna go into that a little bit in a bit, but it's very good also as a longtime fan to see the amount of love and care going into a product like this. And you mentioned a little bit how it's been working with White Wolf and Paradox. How quickly it got approved, but how has communication been, and has the current global situation affected that negatively in any way?
Not really, because we have such a easy process to be working with them. They were and still are idols when we were young, so now they're our colleagues. So of course we're like, wow, impressed and everything, but they're very approachable and very reliable, very always ready to help us out. So it can be from any part of the legal team to the management, to the business, to the lore, to the game. They're all very much available and willing to help us out. So they're really easy to be working with, to be really honest with you.
Oh, that's very good to hear as well, because I know that they also have so many other side projects. I did a video recently on everything that's being released. It was almost an hour. Yeah, it's nuts. And they just manage everything so well. I mean, do they even sleep? The people working on this.
I know for a fact that Jason Carl doesn't.
No.
When we were in Indianapolis, we were texting at 4 a.m. and we were just getting sleep at 3. So it's like, did you sleep or anything? I actually suspect he's a ghoul and doesn't need sleep.
I would imagine so. At least a ghoul is working for some really ancient Methuselah in the background who's pulling the strings.
Definitely Venture. Venture Methuselah, for sure.
Yeah. And speaking of the other projects, have you been keeping tabs on any? Are there any that you really like? The board games, I can imagine.
Of course. No, not only board games. All of them. Earth's Blood is... I think tomorrow there is the reveal of the gameplay. We've been talking with Heritage for years now. Cool. We know each other, even Babbies that worked on the gameplay. Vendetta is going to be amazing. They just revealed the name of Rivals. No, we are a creator but consumer as well on this, and we're very excited to see everything coming out.
Yeah, same here. I'm going to be live streaming the Earthblood trailer tomorrow, and the Swan Song as well is coming out tomorrow. Yeah, because it's just so much stuff coming out. It's really fun, and it's just like when your game was announced, I saw it on Twitter. I went in to check, and I think, how quickly did it get funded? It must have been in an hour around.
Something like that, 2 or 3 hours or 4.
It just kept growing. How was it watching that happening in real time? Did you sleep at all during this month, or?
It's a blur. I'm gonna be really honest with you. Kickstarter is such its own world, and it was a third game on it, a third launch and third raised, and successfully. So we were very lucky, and we kind of know what to do now. and we've put everything. We went all in on this project, and so when we saw it really happening, like we were hoping to see it was, and it was one of the best feeling and moment of our life.
I can imagine. And you landed at about 1.4 million Canadian dollars. So that's like 5 times what you were aiming for.
Yep.
How was it, like, the process of creating stretch goals? Did you ever feel like this is enough, we can't make anymore? Or was it? Did you have them prepared beforehand?
You prepare everything. Well, that's what we learned from the second and the first.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're supposed to do. But Kickstarter now is slowly transforming into more a pre-order kind of a platform. Mm-hmm. We play the game of Kickstarter. It's supposed to help Kickstarter. And some of the backers now are so used to see Kickstarter as I want to see the final gameplay. I want to see the everything. I just want to buy it and then get. But it's not Amazon. We need the. We're working with the best of the industry. We're working with Sergei Vaznev. We're working with Mark Simonetti. We're working with the best, pretty much the best game designer in the world that we really want to play on that game. Same thing for the writers. Same thing for pretty much everyone in this team. And if you want the best, well, you need to pay them best. So for that, you just need to pay well all the people working on this project, because when you don't have the monetary aspect of things, you just focus on delivering the good qualities of stuff. That's why we make sure that we pay everyone working this project well, because we need the best quality, no compromise on quality, none whatsoever.
And you can tell, like, the models are extremely detailed. Is it resin that you're using to make them, or is it?
So we're still figuring things out. We can go both ways, but it's going to be much more tough and reliable to have plastics. Plus, resins, it can break easily. So it's like for big models. That we could have maybe in another project.
DLC.
That might happen. But right now, for Vampire the Masquerade chapters, we might be slowly going into the plastic direction, because
absolutely
it goes okay for 99% of our backers.
And as a former wargamer, unfortunately don't have time for that anymore. The level of quality you get in plastic these days is comparable to resin anyway. It's very good, like 3D printing, stuff like that. But that's a good choice, because I was a little bit worried about resin because it's also bendable. And, but that's
and I'm a bruja, so believe me, things that bend don't last.
No, I agree. And you've also started doing playtesting now, right? With the community. Only a couple of weeks ago, or like a week ago?
We are starting the 3rd weeks right now.
Oh, cool. And you I think I read that you've locked down combat, like that's done, and you're working more or less. But how is the process of the system? Because I reckon there's 3 different types of gameplay in this game, right?
There's combat, dialogue, and investigation. The dialogue is pretty much done, because this is something that we have all been accustomed to. It's a narrative story with branching option and scenarios and stories. So this is something that works very well. We're using a very professional software that's called Miro on it. It's very easy to track it down. And for compared to the combat is something that we need to implement from the V5. So there is too much dice. We need to, for example, the skills are automatic success in chapters compared to the TTRPG, because in board game you cannot launch 8 dice and have 3 success in one, 7 in the other, and go from one after that. It's too volatile. So we need to have something stable. So there's a lot of things to adapt, but the vision we had from the beginning pretty much remained the same. And when we improve it with the different game designers, one after the other, so they don't compete on this, but they feed the other one so that we can perfect it at every step. We're doing the same with the playtesting. And we had more than a month to playtest the combat for the solo system, and we actually finished it in 2 weeks. So now we're jumping into the multiplayer, and we just had Phil and Oliver that already played the first combat, and it went for an hour and 20. We had crazy laughs because they were so lucky with the dices. And at some point, there was the gun girl that was rushing 4 X's, jumping, using her claw and doing a high kick, and basically one-shot one of the security agents. And we just decided, like, you were ambushing him and just split him open. And the other one was one of the other guard were the knee broken because one special attack that the Pruja was doing. He was leaping and not able to move away. So the Pruja went out with his rifle and just finished him off. And it was brutal and gritty and dark and amazing. And
very much the feeling of Vampire. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Because that's the goal of the combat. It's to every movement, every skill that you're using is illustrated. So you can see your character on the tile. You have the tile, and you know what he's doing. So you can close your eyes and be in a kind of movie or a tabletop RPG.
Yeah, I got the feeling both when I was doing the combat trial or tutorial and the social interaction tutorial that it really felt like I was just adding a layer to the role-playing experience. Which I think is a really smart move you guys to do, to have this. This is role playing with added stuff, and it really does.
And also streamlined.
Exactly, and it also really feels like V5. And I can imagine at some point someone's going to be like, I'm going to change the combat system of V5 and just use what they do in chapters instead, because that. It flows really good.
It's a possibility.
Yeah.
It's a possibility. We love V5. It was a very refreshing to go back to the roots of. It's more focused on humanity, on your predator, and tune down the half god vampire that we had at the end of V3 or sometimes at 20. And I think it's a reboot that makes sense, and we've loved the hunger track system, the push your luck mechanisms of it is already very close to what we have in board game. So it was very easy to implement it. So we're fine-tuning things, but from even the first one of the playtest we had, there's a few things we need to improve, of course, but the development of it is gonna stretch up until February. So far everything is beyond perfect, and
that's amazing,
and going in the right direction. So we're very excited.
That's really good to hear. And I mentioned to you before that I played the event through and I had the worst luck. I think I failed every single one of my rolls. And then afterwards, it's like, I forgot to use willpower. But that's also because I'm part of the old school of vampire players that rarely use willpower, because it's much more powerful now than it used to be. So rule changes is good to keep track of. And I feel like when I was playing it on Tabletopia, the rules descriptions were very clear, good examples, and I feel that's super important too, because a lot of people will probably come from maybe not playing board games that much, and if you have a clear, easy to follow rule system that's also similar to V5 in that regard, is a good design choice to get people into the game, so to speak.
Rules are the most trickiest part for all board gamers and all board gamers creators. It's one of the subject that is I could pull my hair if I had any on that topic, and you're the same.
I agree.
No, it's so hard. It's so hard because it's not meant to be understandable for everyone. It's supposed to be understandable on every single part, idea. It has to be clear. It has to be very, very specific. That's why we gave up. We're not writing the rules ourselves anymore. No. We hire Joseph Pilkus on it that used to work for Stonemeyer Games, and that's what we're doing. We're using professional words. I'm not good with any kind of art, so we're getting illustrators. We need some help with the writing. We are hiring writers. We need some game designers, so we hire game designers. Same thing for the rules. They're their own specific role. That we need to acknowledge that.
Yeah, and that's very good, very smart move to do, because it's like you have to be very pedagogical as well with how you illustrate examples and stuff like that in the rule system. And you said before that you're from Montreal. You've been playing Montreal, so obviously it was an easy choice. But anyone familiar with the setting knows that Montreal was not really Camarilla City up until very recently. It was quite the opposite, right? It was what was it? It was the Sabbat's northern.
It was the second place of Sabbat on the planet. If Mexico was the capital, Montreal was the heart of it.
Like the Vatican almost.
Faith.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So the thing is, and we've been in Montreal for the last 10, 12 years for me and 15 for Gary. So we saw how the lifestyle and the life in Montreal is so sweet. People are so chill. And we're like, well, the nurse is supposed to be a mirror of our stuff, but even if it's grittier and darker, everything is going better in Montreal. So what happened? And we just decided that basically there were a way for Camarilla to take it back because Sabbat fell because of the Second Inquisition, and they were slowly over the time trying to erase the memory of the Sabbat, erase the Masquerade breach, clean things up because it's a very important place in North America. And because the Sabbat is getting wiped out here and there, especially with the Inquisition, you need to be very, very smart about it. And basically all Sabbat died in one night because if Second Inquisition are looking for a Masquerade breach, well, let me tell you that the people in Montreal, especially the Sabbat, are the ones that are not covering their tracks good enough. So at some point, they all went into one specific location, which is the Cathedral of Eternal Whispers, and it was a trap. And they all get trapped inside of it in one place. And the Inquisition was ready, and with fire. So from so much kindred kyanite being killed that night, that's what we call the Night of Ashes, because everyone has been pretty much burned down to the ground.
Good choice of
and from this we said, okay, but now what? What happened when the Camarilla try to rebuild? And there is the Secret Inquisition, and that's where the story starts.
I can imagine that because I was listening to the introduction that barely any of the vampires in that introduction would have been in the city for more than 10-15 years at most.
Yes, exactly. They're all new, so the political aspect is very wobbly.
Because it was so interesting as well, because you have the Nosferatu sheriff and the weak prince and the mentor now for the caitiff, which I didn't realize was the playable character until I read about that later. It all really meshed well together. It felt like, this is like a prologue of the starting adventure for the game. But what was I going to say? Montreal, it has something really evil buried underneath it. Something dark and evil. I'm assuming you're not able to tell me much more about that thing.
I can tell you right away that the dark presence of the entity you're talking about can be felt. But the story is not around meta-attacks. We are talking about Vampire the Masquerade chapters, and that's something way darker that will have an effect on the city, can have an effect on the story. I may confirm, not confirm anything. You know what I mean? But
of course.
Yes, it's definitely not the main point of focus. We're very interested in a tuned down vampiric and kindred centric story in Montreal.
And that's really cool. That's really cool as well, because I know that one of the stretch goals was that weird, strange creature, and I'm assuming that just a little taste, potentially, perhaps, what could be there. Just maybe a little tribute to that. I see right now that you can't tell me anymore, so I will have to theorize on my own.
See, it's crazy. I'm just doing a face, and I do kind of say I cannot deny or confirm.
I see the pain. I see the pain in your eyes. You're like you wanted to.
I'd love to. Do you want to know the whole storyline right here, right now?
No. Maybe yes. No. I don't. I want to play through.
Come on. That was a trap.
But it is really interesting, and I like also the fact that you're focusing specifically on the kindreds and mortals now, because there is a lot of Second Inquisition involved in the game, as far as I could tell from the models and from what you've written. But let's jump to the playable characters, because we do know some stuff about them. We know sort of what kind of people they are. We know their names, and some of them show up in the introduction. Is there anything in where you can tell about them? Like, do they have anything in common? Is there some connecting thread with them?
So there is a connecting thread, because they're going to be the one. Basically, it's going to be a coterie of 4 kindred so far. Things can change and evolve, but so far it's been that way for quite a moment now. Basically, it's going to be a coterie of 4 kindred that's going to be investigating the return of a very dark threat that seems to be appearing in this introduction. Yeah. And they're going to be the one just having a look at it. So from this point, even if before they were like in different clan and story, they all have their own personality, their own quirks, advantage, and drawbacks. So they're basically going to come up at some point in together, look in the eyes and say, look, we need to find that stuff. What's happening? Yeah. So you start investigation from this. And then on after that, you're gonna of course have some bond, and you're gonna be able to fight and survive together. So what we wanted to do is to give a proper image of clans in a very basic way, but also not in a stereotypical one. For example, that's one thing that we really want at Flyos, even in our first and second game. We made sure that there is as much as female kindred as male.
Oh yeah, it was really nice seeing that as well.
And they all their own drawback and a personality trait. They're not just the Nosferatu. I'm ugly and I can punch and I can be sneaky. Yes, but what else there is to be? So for example,
Nosferatu appeared in the introduction story, right? She was the one talking about what she saw in the. Sorry for interrupting.
And she's a Cleopatra, for example. Yeah. Oh. But there is other thing coming up, and there is other. They all have stories, human life before. They all have touchstones.
Oh, that's cool.
You have to play in a way that makes sense. And that also because that's the main focus of Vampire the Masquerade chapters. It's we're trying to mix the board game and the tabletop RPG community on this, and it has to be easy to play. There has to be an introduction, and it has to be hard to master. So easy to play, hard to master with 2 industry joining up in together can be a little bit complicated for sure. But we are in a very good position so far. It's going well, and what we want is to provide an easy way to get into Vampire the Masquerade for the people that comes from the board game industry, and vice versa for the people from the Vampire the Masquerade can get into the other one. So it is that way we're trying to make things happen.
Yeah, and I can tell, like, with the written introduction, a lot of concepts are explained, but they're done in a very easy to understand way. And I also noticed you were, I think Malkavian is an investigator specifically, right? And I think I saw one of your updates talking about his prelude, which I'm assuming every single character, well, yeah, the gang will have one, and I believe the Ventress was also a prelude. So is that also going to be played individually, or do you...
Yes.
Oh, okay. So everyone plays like prelude.
All basic character behind the extension of the Banu Hakim, the La Sombra, and the Ministry. They're all going to have prologues. Prologues are a way to introduce a clan, a character, but also kind of a tutorial to explain one very specific aspect of the mechanisms. So the Gangrel is going to be a one-on-one fight. The Bruja is going to be a multiple opponent kind of fighting. The Malkavian is going to be about investigation, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So, because we realized as board game designers, when you play a board game, your span attention as a player is 5 minutes to understand the rules. You cannot go through such complex with 3 different mechanisms and listen hear, understand, and be able to play up onto those 5 minutes. So what we're trying to do is to make a tutorial with the prologues where you can see a very specific, narrow ways of playing the sneak, the investigation, the hunger, the disciplines, each in his own way. And when you're going to be able to merge and play the first scenario, beyond the fact that you can imagine you don't know what you want to play as I'd like to play the brew job, but maybe the game role is my kind of style. Well, play them both and see if you prefer one or the other. And then when you move and write in the scenario, the goal is that you have played all the tutorial and be able to say, okay, I know what I can do in each and specific part of the mechanism, so I can just go on. And that's the whole point.
Yeah. I remember I played, I got myself Gloomhaven a while back, and I could definitely see, like, I like these kind of cooperative board games a lot, and I like that it would seem, just as with Gloomhaven, every single one of these characters have their own powers, their own abilities, obviously, because they're different clans. Are you worried that there might be... is balance an issue as well? Like, what if everyone picks a squishy character, or is that not a risk that you're too worried about?
You can only play one of them clan. So if you're picking the gang role, it's taken. You only have one miniature.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah.
So,
That is true. That's true. But you said that the Banu Hakim, the Ministry, and the La Sombra don't have any prologues. They were essentially... stretch goals, right?
No, they're extensions.
Oh, right.
They're going to come with scenarios on their own that you will be able, because they come to help you at a specific point in the story.
Okay.
But they're here for a reason as well. So it's kind of you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Yeah. And they're not going to have, because they are coming at a specific moment of the story, they cannot be used as a prologue or a tutorial because you're supposed to play these before. So you'll be playing straight away in the scenario with three of them.
I see. Yeah. So that actually leads a little bit into the other question I had. That I'm assuming then that you will be able to switch characters between scenarios.
You would, but you're also keeping experience point and earning experience point when you finish a scenario. You can win some extra reward or experience point depending how you play it as well. So even if you start, for example, with the game called Bruja, that is combat focus centric, doesn't mean that you're forced to stay in that stereotype or mission. You can just expand and put more experience point in investigation. Right. I mean, if you talk about the best lore expert and the novice, it's Beckett and he's a gangrel, so you can play how you want. But at some point, yes, you will be able to swap characters, but at specific moments. The goal of the game is not to just pick the right kindred for the right mission, because you're supposed to be four. So you decide which one in your coterie you'll be playing. So if you say, look, the Chimera is not going to be part of that game, you're not going to be able to cover her later. Despite the fact that she's a real badass. But
that's cool. Yeah, I looked at her description and I was like, that's a character I want to play. I think every single character that's in the game is someone I would like to play. Although I immediately loved the design of Edward Harvey, the La Sombra. There's just something about a guy with a big cigar in the corner of his mouth. I was just like, this is the guy I want to play. So I'm a little bit sad that he's not going to be like a permanent member of the Coterie. But there's nothing to say that there might not be future content with him involved, potentially.
But is available as an extra character that can be purchased. But the thing is, if he's there, it means that the La Sombra are trying to get into Montreal at some point in the story. Yeah. So of course, it's going to be there. The thing is, Edward Harvey is. I love the La Sombra. I love them crazy. My favorite clan is definitely the Nosferatu, because I really love the community heaven and kind of us versus the world kind of feeling. And but the La Sombra, they're so badasses. It's crazy. And I smoke cigar, so I think it was 2 or 3 days ago. I was at a party and I was in a kind of a black suit I just wanted to suit up, and I had this cigar, and I was like, I'm Edward Harvey today. That's nice.
Yeah.
I just stayed in the shade and avoid the sun, just for the walk.
Yeah, and I really liked La Sombra as well. When I was younger, when I was playing, I was very much into Gangrel, and later on, I would be more into Toreador. But now I'm firmly in the camp of the Sabbats in general. Smeetsy, La Sombra are two of my favorite clans.
Yeah.
But sorry.
No, Timisis are absolutely mesmerizing because they have such an alien mentality.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the only clan that is inherently able to change. Like the other one, physically they're stuck.
Yeah.
So this one is the only clan of eternal being that can change.
Yeah, exactly.
That alone is very interesting.
Absolutely. I'm both sad and happy that they haven't been released for V5 yet, because I really wanted to, exactly like you're saying, I want them to really kind of grasp that concept of change, like the path of metamorphosis, the antediluvian's constant pursuit of breaking out of the karmic wheel. It's really it's such an interesting aspect of the clan, and
definitely.
I'm sad that they're not playable, of course, but better they do them well than they just throw them in and it's garbage,
Exactly.
Yeah. But who's your personal favorite of the playable characters? If you had to pick one, who would you pick? And why? Or I can give you three if you want.
Okay, I'll pick one of the three.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go.
Okay, let's see, Edward Harvey, the Tremere, I don't remember her name, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And how about the Nosferatu, the Cleopatra?
Well, the Nosferatu, it's also one of Gary's favorites, the Nosferatu. Mm-hmm. So I'll pick one for him. I think it's going to be the Nos for sure. Mm-hmm. And Tremere is very very cool, but I'll go for Bruges as well. He's a badass. He doesn't give a F.
I love his design.
He has none.
He has such a lumberjack, like he's built like a brick. I love his design. Yeah. Very very good design. In general, I just want to tell you folks that you've really nailed the character concept. I feel like everyone is so distinct in their design. Very happy to see that. But if you had to, I don't. So the Bruja is the one you would pick out of all the characters.
Well, I've played pretty much all the clan when I was playing TTRPG, and I really liked working on a lot of them because Gary and I on every single part were consulting on this, and we go back and forth, and sometimes you have an idea which is A, the other one gets a B, and you try to find a good angle, and from this conflict that is so necessary in the creative steps, you find a C option, which is way better than the A and B combined. So they all are babies, so it's really hard to say which one is my favorite.
Choosing your favorite child, that's difficult. I can understand that. But there is one more character that's making an appearance in this game. I was a little bit surprised seeing it, but pretty happy about it. Fan favorite Mr. Damp, who I keep calling Mr. Moist because I can mix it up. Mr. Damp with a very capturing design when he's about to chop the head off of a guy.
Yeah.
What was the process behind that? Did you guys go talk to the people behind Bloodlines 2, or?
Yep. Okay. That was pretty much what we did. We wanted to, and that's why we had so much cross promotion with Heritage, with VTS, with pretty much everyone that wanted to do that had the same goal and vision that we had, which is to implement and to just spread tentacles to other products to just get a fix of and to implement our game into the Metaplot and the lore. Even if the game in the story is canon in the V5 plot, it's also very well to just incorporate other product of other passionate people into your game. So we reached to Whitefall to say, Paradox, if we could do that. And then Artsud said, yes, of course. And they were the one to come with, hey, you could get Mr. Dem for one mission.
Yeah.
And we were like, yes.
Yeah. And his model design is really nice too. I really like it. But you're talking about like incorporating everything into the Metaplot, which I really love. I cannot understate how much I like that everything is together, that there is that creative vision going on.
Yep.
So I have to ask, and you can do it with your eyes again if you can't talk about it.
I can still Dutch, of course.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, there might not be a Montreal by Night sourcebook coming anytime soon, because that doesn't seem to be what they're focusing on right now. But I know the comic is doing like lore sheets and stuff like that, the upcoming Vampire comic. Do you know if there's anything in the work about that? Like any kind of lore sheets from Montreal, if your character's from there, or if you want to have your game take place there? Are you working on anything like that with the...
So far, no, because in terms of the timeline and everything, where everything has been approved in the story and everything,
right.
It's just that we are still writing each specific scenario to make sure that everything lines up perfectly. We have the whole story, we have blocks, but specifically what happens in every single scenario is not. So before we have everything granularly examined, fixed, verified, approved, we cannot go further into other projects so we can share things, because things are still obviously volatile until you get it into your hands.
Yeah, of course. And Jason Carl used to be your contact with Paradox, right, or with White Wolf.
And Donay as well, yes.
Yeah. But now Justin Achille has been hired as I assume is kind of the creative lead, sort of.
Correct.
So he's obviously a veteran in Vampire the Masquerade. Like he worked a lot of the revised edition stuff.
Yeah.
How have you been able to get him up to speed with things yet? I mean, he started like 2 weeks ago or something, right?
Obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously, we first of all we congratulate him because he is a dead hard fan. On all the by night book he has done, he's a passionate, is a very talented person. So we're very excited to know that he was coming. And when he did, we were, yes, it's done. It's finally out. And no, we are not right now in a process that we need his attention.
All right.
Because everything has been lined up and pre-approved, approved, as long as we keep in the same direction. And there's stuff where we'll need his help at some point. But so far, we're gonna let him just set things up, go into the emergency and the hot file that he needs to dive in, and we're just gonna try to ease him out into this universe that he is so belonging to.
That's awesome, and likewise, I was very excited to hear that he got the job. It's getting a veteran, both industry veteran and White Wolf veteran, is really a missing piece of the puzzle of the group. I think there's so many talented people working for White Wolf. But speaking of other people in this puzzle, Matthew Dawkins wrote your introduction. Yes. And what was the process behind that? Like, how did they approach you, or were you like, we really need to, we want to have an introduction? Like, what was the process behind the introduction, basically?
So the introduction is what we call in theater, the act one, scene one, where you say, it's really hard to not do it that way, but it's also necessary. So in the act one, scene two, you can just jump into it. It's pretty much the introduction of the terms, of the settings. It's pretty much like, being very, to make a parameter of the story. So we had a list of things that we wanted to do in that introduction, and we gave that task to Matthew, that we have this philosophy and that vision at Flyos that first of all, there is no compromise on quality. Second, transparency is everything, and of course we also need to stay lean. Do not focus energy, talent, and resources on things that only serve 1% of our backers. What we need is the greater good for this project. And if you want the best quality possible, especially when you're working with artists that are so dedicated and so skilled in that, you don't tell them what to do. You ask them what you want. You do a rerun if you need to fix things. But basically, the artists are always the one that's going to deliver anything that they want, as good as they want, if they feel implicated in that. And that's what we're trying to do with everything that we do. I'm hiring you to do the illustration. So why am I the one to telling you how to illustrate things?
Yeah, I agree. I've hired artists before to do commission art and stuff like that. It's like I provide what they want, but I'm not the artist. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I agree with you wholeheartedly there. And I assume the casino called the Jungle. The Jungle. Was that something that existed before, or did he?
No.
He brought that into it.
He brought that up. Yeah. So he made suggestion here and there, and it's like, you know what, that makes sense. Let's do this.
Yeah, that's really cool because it feels also like such an interesting aspect. I like the touch with Prince Vion from Paris, as well, like being inspired by his Elysium.
Yeah.
But you also had it translated, of course, in several different languages, but you also had it narrated by voice. Was that something that you...
It was not planned at all.
Okay.
It was not planned at all, and Gary really wanted to have he's such a geek on audiobook. And he loves it. And we just checked our budget on the thing that we wanted, and because we're so lean on a lot of things, we had a little bit extra budget, so we just decided, let's give something, let's offer, just be generous about it, because it is nice to just put just enjoy and walk. That's what I do pretty much 2 times a week now. I just go out in Montreal with a podcast of 25 years of Masquerade or the Arctic Days and everything, and just walk around and just take notes of what could happen in that street, in that one. Go there, take some sketches, take some pictures, and I think that my if I have a character sheet, I would have street experience from 2 to 3 now. I just put some experience in.
That's really cool, because there's so much creative energy in this community right now. It's really a lot of people call it the renaissance of Vampire the Masquerade or even World of Darkness. I absolutely agree, and it's great to hear that fan creators and content creators also influence in a sense that way, because there's really nothing to say that a scenario that happens might not inspire another scenario. And it's I personally really enjoyed the reading of the introduction, because it also gave so much more life to this Toreador harpy, or not seneschal, but
no, she's a harpy.
A harpy.
She's a harpy, herald, and she's distressed because some of our clanmates just disappeared. So she forgot for some time to just the decorum and the dignitas. She's an adventurer, but when you're harpy, you're supposed to get your shit together.
Exactly.
For some point, she just didn't.
And it provided such a great insight into also how it begins. And there's this nameless coterie who could be the players. There's Luciana, is her name, right? The Masquerade, and of course Gabriel, the caitiff, who has a twin sister, correct?
Yep. Correct.
So is that canon that they're twins, or is that just you choose which one you want to play? Or is it a little bit of both? Okay, that's the question I won't get an answer to. That's fine. That's fine. I'll just have to sit in my chair and wait until I can play the game.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's okay. I can deal with that. But we talked a little bit about game mechanics, and I wanted to ask, what was the most difficult part of trying to capture the feeling of World of Darkness or Vampire the Masquerade in the system? What was... You mentioned the dice rolling was a little bit of a tough thing, but like the discipline, stuff like that, did you have to change a lot?
The most difficult part is I've worked in the startup and tech industry before. Before Gary and I created Flyos games and decided that we wanted to do what if you gave us any amount of money in the world, we would be pretty much doing what we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
But that took time. And in the meantime, I was working in the tech industry in startup. And there is a big say in startup is less is more. And the big difficulty we have is not to fine-tune things, because now we know pretty much how it does, how it works, and where and who we can talk and contact and hire to fix things up. What is the most difficult part is to know what to add and not what to add, because there is so much good stuff with cat. But something too much is too much. Like if I'm doing some good recipe and I just had way too much of one thing, it will change everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's within reason that we are doing what we call tissue testing. So tissue testing is basically one-on-one with backers. You take something, you take the note of what could be improved, and you try to, in the next iteration, an hour later, to have another tester that does the same. And so you are always improving things, but on very small scale. So you do not go back and lost it. And that's what we're doing. And so far it's working. But of course, that's also why we're asking so much community feedback, because it's not our game. It's our game. Because so many people are playing Vampire the Masquerade in their own way. Some people are very combat centric. Some people do not roll dice and are just very sensual about it in the mood. So we need to acknowledge all these different niche group and make sure that they're represented, that it makes sense, and that it also go along with the vision that we have. So that's why we always ask the community to participate, to vote, to feel the service, because that helps us a lot to see if we're going the right direction or not.
Yeah. And I like that I believe it was your Kickstarter who had the voting for languages, correct?
Yeah.
For when you hit certain tiers. And I know that was a big thing, because I have some, I think even in the chat, I have some German followers who are very excited to hear that German could be, for example, one of the languages to pick from. And I know the werewolf one that you had very recently. I was so conflicted over that poll, because the short snout werewolf fits really well. Like, I'm assuming this werewolf is the mixed breed. That the term is a little bit not.
Is a corrupted werewolf. It does not represent the basic werewolf that you could see or see in W5.
Yeah. So the short snout kind of really fit with that idea, but it was so anathema, so anti-werewolf when I saw it. So I was like, I got to vote for the long snout one, but I really love the design for the short snout. And
Same here.
It was. I think the long snout won, right? Which one? Yeah. But maybe I can special order the short snout one as well.
Well, the thing is, Vampire the Masquerade chapters focus on the main clans of the V5. So it has to be an introduction. It has to be, especially because it's chapters 1, Montreal. We're planning to have others. Well, you start by the general and you go into the specifics. So you start with clan, and maybe later on we're going to go for bloodlines. But the first werewolf our players of chapters is going to play, it has to be a regular werewolf. So you can set the regular template, and then you can play with the exception. And that's how the community were seeing things, because Gary and I were very conflicted on even in ourselves. We were like 50-50. We love both. What do we do? So instead of we just have to compete.
It was a wise decision, and you do get the community involved as well, because you were talking a bit earlier about how people these days see Kickstarter more as like a pre-order kind of thing, and that's always been strange to me, because you're investing in something, that it's an investment platform. So as a contributor myself, I do enjoy the update, because like, this is something that I help bring about. I'm an investor in this, and obviously I'm getting a reward for that. But even so, like, I helped bring this project to life, and I think that's amazing that it can work that way. I can only imagine the kind of loops you'd have to jump through before that, when you had producers and financiers and things like that for a board game. But I was going to ask a little bit about the models as well, because we know they're probably going to be plastic anyway. And one of the very ambitious things that you could add to your pledge was to have them pre-painted.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of models painted, I can imagine right now. What is the process there? Are you hiring a company to do the painting, or are you going to sit and paint every single one? Or
Of course, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm the Bruja, and I will just paint them all red. That's what you want to hear?
Yeah.
No. But basically, our manufacturer will be in charge of that. Mm-hmm. So basically, we're going to start the miniatures before we start the printing production, mm-hmm. so they can stay, and then you do one taint, one color,
right. Yeah.
Then another one while hiding the other, and then another one, then another one, and at the end of it. Color. You will have something that is very quality, very immersive, that you do not want to paint yourself. Because we really understand how creative you can be with your own miniatures, obviously. But recently, we've been playing to Gloomhaven, to Zombicide, to all of them, and we don't have the time to paint them. We don't. We really don't. So
it's
why not paying an extra to have it done? Because anyway, in terms of paint, is very expensive, and the time you're placing on. But sometimes you just don't care. Some people ask us, "Can I pay less to have, the game, but without the miniatures?" And unfortunately, we can't, because it's a part of the vision that you can have the place where you are with the town. You can see your characters. And you can also see the move you're doing on it. So it is important.
Yeah.
And it's a choice. It's one way or another. But for that, we wanted to give that opportunity, that and that option, basically.
Yeah, that is, it's very ambitious, and I think it's also good that we're finally at a point where it's relatively easy to mass paint models anyway, because I play Warhammer, I have a lot of unpainted miniatures, and I think I bought the one where I get the unpainted and the painted ones. I think I paid extra for that, because I also want to paint my own, but I don't know how long that's going to take, so...
Exactly, you can take both. You can take both. And anyway, when you get the miniatures, the extra miniatures, so you still have yours.
Yeah. And it's perfect, because if I have friends over, I want to take out the pre-painted ones, because it's nicer to play with painted miniatures. But it's interesting, because there are NPC miniatures, obviously. There's the monsters that you've had, Second Inquisition. There's also music coming out, right? Yes.
We're very excited about this as well.
That's cool. That's very cool. And how do you see, obviously you're very focused on this project right now. It's taking up probably most of your time right now.
All of
your time.
All of it.
Yeah. Do you have any thought about what's going to come after? Do you want to work on more vampire stuff? Do you want to explore other venues with Paradox?
Yes.
Good answer. Perfect. I can only imagine, because you've been telling me, it's been relatively easy to work with them, and they're very...
Not relatively.
Yeah.
It is easy to work with them. Yeah. But as long as you play your part as well. I mean, they're easy with us because we're easy with them, and we are very committed of what we're doing. So it is what it is. You reap what you sow, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm happy too, because I think 2 or 3 years ago, White Wolf was only going to be skeleton crew, everyone, they were going to have other people doing their stuff, and I'm happy to see that it's kind of rebuilding itself into something bigger and better, and that they're also reaching out to so many different talents. Speaking of reaching out, you were the ones who sold this idea to Paradox, right? Of playing in Montreal. Yes, right. I think you mentioned that earlier, right? But that's really cool too, that you can approach them and they actually gave you the time to listen and approved of it, and in a couple of seconds, like you said.
Well, that was the second meeting. The first one we went to in 2018 to Gen Con, and I met with Dene Dovir, and we were supposed to have 30-minute discussion, and it took an hour and a half. Yeah. Because we were so geeking out on Amici Noctis and La Sombra and geek, and have you played this? Have you played that? And we were just talking randomly of everything. And at some point, the other apartment on the back were like, I'm supposed to... And I said, oh, yes, I forgot. Okay, yes, you know your lore. I understand what you want to do, but can you pitch me like 5 seconds, because I'm already 1 hour late, what's your game about, basically? And at this point, it's you want to play Vampire the Masquerade more when you're a fan, but you can't, because it's so difficult to bring people that has wives, kids, job, sickness, weather, anything is an inconvenience. And you still, everyone I know that love Vampire the Masquerade wants to play more. That's the schedule, the issue. And we just, we were playing other games with Gary at this moment, and imagine a campaign of Vampire the Masquerade board game where everything is one box, one campaign, one X number of scenarios, and depending on your choice, you do whatever you want, and you can make your own story about it. And that was the single sentence that just changed the last 2 years of our work.
That's amazing.
And when we said that to Dana, she said, yeah, we're in, done.
That's amazing.
And then we had the second meeting, and we explained the story at this moment, and the characters, and the settings, and everything. And yeah, it went like this as well. So very lucky. We're very lucky.
That's amazing to hear. So I did have another question about future plans, and if we hypothetically assume that Paradox came to you and said, okay, great, chapters went amazing, we loved it, it sold really well, the Kickstarter went amazing, we want you to make a Werewolf the Apocalypse game, how would you envision that kind of game to play out? Like, would it be, how would it be different from chapters?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question. We've been playing Werewolf for some time now, so it is something that we know it's way more brutal, it's much more combat centric. So it would be a different aspect where the dialogue is much more in a social situation where you are in your haven, in your set, for example, and this would be much more brutal. But the combat technique would be also very much different, because you're hunting in a pack, and because you're hunting in a pack, things is different than when you work in one-on-one. So and it would be a completely different. Of course, game, but we'll also rely on what we're building right now. So it is something that is a possibility for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. I would love to see a Werewolf game made by you folks. You've really got a lifetime fan from now on, because I'm super sold on chapters. I don't think I had any more direct questions. I do recall wondering, like, for the one person playing, because it's 1 to 4 people playing. Would you be playing 4 characters on your own then, or
one? You play one depending on how you want to build it, and there is always the solution and the option to have one of your Coterie with you. So you can use it for now as an ally. So it'd be playing as an NPC in terms of turn, initiative, and stuff. But yes, it would be, for example, you are playing a very social or mental oriented character, and you need some muscle, because things could turn haywire. Well, it's part of your Coterie, and you can bring someone along. The goal is not force a player play 4 different characters. You're supposed to be immersed in your own character. So the more you put attention everywhere, the more you put it nowhere.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's good then, because I was also thinking that playing 4 characters, like you say, is very spreading yourself thin over it. And I'm assuming that just like with games for like Kingdom Death and Gloomhaven, there are scaling rules for difficulties in encounters and things like that. But yeah,
we have it as well.
Yeah. I assumed, and that's also that's a relief, because like you said before, I have trouble finding people to play games with, and setting up a game, arranging for a game night. There's so many things that have to click, and then someone goes, "Oh, you know what? My kid got sick. Oh well, how about 2 months from now?" So,
you're in Sweden. You have the same issue that we do. Well, when it's freezing outside, and when there is snows, and you cannot get up, or you cannot get your car out, like you're stuck. You want to play. It's very frustrating.
Exactly. So I'm happy that there is an option to play alone. Also, another question I had is, are there any plans for the whole game to be released on Tabletop Simulator or Tabletopia, or was that just to...
No.
Okay, yeah. And
Tabletopia and Table Simulator will be a way for our playtest to happen, to also show the different mechanisms of the game, maybe the first scenario, and from there you'd be able to have a very good feeling of what you're engaging yourself in. What we're trying to do is to also work with the best manufacturer in the world. So the product in itself, the game in itself, is something that we want to have physically happening. And I believe that there is enough very good video games that are coming up about Vampire the Masquerade. And tabletop for us is on top of the table. So that's what we're trying to do. But it's also a very convenient way to reach communities and play online, and we love that, and we're using and loving TTS and Tabletopia. But for the game, we will use it as a step to actually get the physical game for sure.
Yeah, and that makes sense. It's a very different thing playing something virtually. But I think I am a little bit out of questions. Do you have anything you want to talk about or like bring up, advertise?
No, nothing that we didn't talk organically. Okay. It's pretty much done. We are trying to make updates every month because, but feel free, of course, to reach out to us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Follow us because we sometimes have, small information, small visual here and there that we are releasing, but of course we are putting everything in the update later on because they're the backers that helped us go into that direction, so we need to keep them updated for sure.
One question though, if people missed the Kickstarter, will this game be available to purchase online? Will there be a backer kit open for later pledges, anything like that?
Yes.
Okay.
We still have the date to confirm, but right before we're going to launch the production, so in 2021, we'll use that momentum to open the pledge manager to gather the shipping fees of it all. And because due to every single year the internal shipping prices changes, so we do not want to get X amount of money now and imagine things go way higher or down. I don't want to overcharge or undercharge or backer. I just want them to pay what is necessary to pay, and that's it. And we're also going to use that momentum to reopen the pre-order campaign where people will be able to buy the game at that period. And that's pretty much it. So you will have one final chance because the game is so expensive to create. We are way over the standard industry. For now, going into retail with that game might not be possible. So it is something that we're going to have to be very careful of because we do not want to, for example, make a lower version of it so everyone can has access to it. It's a very niche thing, but we do not want to compromise on chapters. So retail is might be possible, but so far it's might be hard.
So if people want to get it from their local game store, they should probably talk to their game store and say, hey, you can buy a couple of games from the pre-order and sell them. That's really,
or you can just buy it yourself as well.
Exactly. It's really good. That's great because I can imagine like the community is growing by the day. So I'm sure there will be people joining now or in a couple of weeks or months who will obviously want to get into this game because it's going to be amazing. And the demos are still available on Tabletopia and Tabletop Simulator, right?
Yes. Right now, if you're watching this video, I'm talking to you. Do not try the TTS right now. You can go and try the Tabletopia to have a feel of the combat, but things are improving and evolving. So the iteration you play on Tabletopia, for example, is 4 months old. And since then, 5 game designers played on it. And we're improving it every single day. So follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and on Kickstarter as well. You can also subscribe to our newsletter to be keep informed when we're going to release the pre-order. And people are doing it so far, because last month we had 1,000 people say, I want to buy the game when the pre-order is going to open. So yeah, I think it's going in the right direction. So
Absolutely.
Make sure to follow us on this, to subscribe to that newsletter, available, or of course, on our website, but easily on the Kickstarter. It's the pledge-minded auction. And yeah, you'll be kept aware of when the new system Streamline will be available. And yeah, we're crossing fingers, but so far everything's going in the right direction, and we're very, very determined to make it sure available for everyone.
That's amazing. I'm super excited to hear more about this, and I can't wait to actually play the game. And it's 2021. That's the goal, right? Late, is it? Yeah. So just gotta wait to have answers for my questions. Thank you, Thomas, very much for coming on to my show. And thank you. I will put this. This is going to go on my channel right away. So people would probably catch up to it later, and I might want to talk to you again once the game is launched, perhaps, and get an update on the situation.
We were supposed to have a meeting of 30 minutes, I believe, and we just overextended to an hour and 10. So I do believe that you know that I'm available and willing to talk about that project anytime. So anytime.
Thank you very much again, and thank you everyone for watching. And Flyos Games, right? It's Flyos-games.com, or is it Flyos Games?
No, Flyos Games.
Flyosgames.com. Perfect. All right, and I think we're going to end the stream there. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching, and good luck with the game.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.